and we are reacting to The Act Man. This is my first time reacting to him. I have never seen any of his content. I saw the title and I was like, this is a topic that I can get behind. This is a topic that I enjoy talking about. I love it. I already have pretty much a solid opinion, but you know, we'll see what he says, and let's just go along and see what he says.
Do you like hot men?
Yes. Yes,
like
yes,
attractive
yes,
women
yes.
with big hands? What's up, everybody?
Love big hands. Love it.
And today, I'm bringing you my top 10 list of video game characters that I jerk off to.
Oh, let's see.
10, Ergot. Number 9, Uncle
Lumbago.
He has superior taste. Phenomenal.
Stellar Blade and its protagonist Eve. Many gamers are celebrating.
Here's my list. Are you ready? I have my first one is Leon Kennedy. Love him. Chef's kiss. Second one, Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. In no particular order, there's Ada Wong, there's Sephiroth, there's Samus, there's Bayonetta. Who else? Who else do I really, really love? There's too many characters. Lulu from Final Fantasy. The Witcher girls, they were hot. Man, there's too many. Just a bunch of babes.
her provocative design, the exotic outfit she wears, and as a red-blooded male, I can appreciate this as well.
I can appreciate it too.
It was pretty fun, and I think Stellar Blade is shaping up to be a stellar game.
I see what you did there.
This type of character design is harmful because it objectifies women and displays unrealistic body standards and proportions. Now, we could ignore the fact
unrealistic? Wait a damn minute. Hold on.
Unrealistic body standards and proportions. Now, we could ignore the fact that Eve's design was based off of a real human being.
Okay. That's not unrealistic. I have a similar body type to that, and I can tell you straight up that is not unrealistic whatsoever. Unrealistic is whenever someone has a body type that is not obtainable. Okay, so like if you're playing a game and a character has organs, a character has a lack of organs, it looks like their waist is like ridiculously tiny and that they can't breathe. That's unrealistic. Okay, this right here, this isn't unrealistic. You know, this is a body that you can obtain just by working out. You know, this isn't unrealistic. You know, standards. That's just my opinion. I could understand if it was something ridiculous. This isn't it.
And that's exactly what we're going to do, because complaining on the internet makes me feel better than ordering the salad. But on the real, there is something to say about body standards in media, sexualization in video games, and how it can affect us. It feels kind of dumb to say this, but there is an ongoing debate around how hot video game characters should be.
Look at Cortana too. Wait a minute. I think honestly that Cortana has a very realistic body. And here's what I mean by that. Like, you know, her waist size is realistic. She honestly has one of the most realistic upper torsos that I've seen. In that image all the way to the right, she has the natural slope of her chest, the natural slope of what most women's actual, you know, bahonkers look like. Believe it or not, you know, most women naturally, we don't have circles. They're not circles. So it's not like this big bowling ball type of, you know, chest. It's naturally sloped. I think this is very realistic. In my opinion, you know, that's just me. That's me. I think my opinion's kind of base, but you know, it's whatever.
If you make a character too sexy, then it's misogynistic. But if you don't make every female a supermodel with double D honkers, then your game's woke. How are you supposed to win? Well, today that's what we're talking about.
You don't win. That's it. People always complain.
Sex appeal in video games. When is it good? When is it bad? How do you tell the difference?
Why does you keep
Let's
showing
find
that
out.
man?
Why are games
Is that from Red
marketed
Dead? That's
like
from Red
Stellar
Dead, right?
Blade? Why are video games now filled with soft porn heroines with ridiculously large breasts?
'Cause we like boobs.
Why? Because fellas like big titty bitches. Next article, write some real fucking news.
Fellas and women
Shakespeare
too.
couldn't have said it better himself. I mean, that's about it. For a long time, gaming was a male-dominated hobby, so naturally, developers made games that appealed to men. This was much more apparent in the olden days where publishers had to rely on the box art to grab your attention. This certainly grabs my attention. Hey,
Mine
how's that
too.
new pinball game coming along? You know, Microsoft needs it out for the Xbox by May. Well, boss, it's looking great. But to be honest, pinball on console is a hard sell. It's kind of boring. So how can we spice it up? Fuck it, like this? Throw some chicks with guns and swords on it.
It sells.
Pinball Reborn. Rated E for
sells.
everyone. This might come as a shock to some of you, so brace
Okay,
yourselves.
okay.
Sex sells in every industry.
That's what I
The
said.
same rules that apply to Hollywood and movie stars apply to gaming. People like things that are attractive. They had goddesses stand around and look pretty for the midnight release of Halo 3. Blizzard.
My thing is, if it's a video game, right? Video games are supposed to be a fantasy, a way to escape, a thing that's, you know, enjoyable. And why wouldn't you want things in a video game that attracts you? Because the whole point of the video game is to entertain you in some way, right? And I'm not saying that, like, you know, that all video games should have sex appeal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that video games have sex appeal because that's what entertains people and that's what they enjoy, and people like to play a game that they can immerse themselves in, and I'm here for it. Also, Megan Fox is so beautiful. Look at you.
Paid Megan Fox to promote
Gorgeous.
Diablo 4, and that was the best thing that came out of Diablo 4. The developers of a game called Sin Episodes Emergence hired a porn star to cosplay as
Oh,
one of their
wow.
characters.
Good for them.
Nice.
Sex appeal is an easy way to get the attention of men, but that's nothing new to video games. It wasn't new when Lara Croft debuted with her pyramid breasts. And it
Talk about unrealistic body standards. Look at those pyramid sharp Lara Croft boobies. Man, so unrealistic. How do I get my you know, my melons to be that sharp? How can I do that?
new to video games. It wasn't new when Lara Croft debuted with her pyramid breasts. And it's not new with Eve and her ridiculous ponytail. But what has changed is the industry. It's much more complex and diverse now. There are
It
more
is very
female
complex.
gamers than ever before. So how do we sell games to them? Maybe we could push out more dishwashing and cooking simulators?
Bruh.
Perhaps we could sexualize women less, portray them in a more realistic, less idealized way.
No.
No. Yeah.
No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
But I
I'll
think
join
a
you.
better solution
I'll join you too.
is to sexualize men more. Picture this. Ace Attorney
Yes!
dropped, and the second case takes place.
I've always said this. I've said this so many times. More naked men. More naked men. I have said this about TV shows. I say this about video games. Honestly, they don't even have to be naked. Hold on. For a man to be sexualized himself, he could be literally like Leon Kennedy. I'm telling you, that man in tactical gear, him just, you know, walking around with that beautiful face and body and everything. And when they have that one scene of him literally like crawling through the water and you have the clearest image of his tushy, I love it. I love it, and I think we should do more of it.
Place on a beach. This is nothing more than an excuse for BAM! Shirtless Miles Edgeworth. Watch the fangirls go crazy. Instant 1 million copies sold within 24 hours.
Making it rain.
Capcom, you can
Making it
send me
rain.
the royalty checks. But seriously, if there is a major issue around objectifying women in video games, I say go ahead and objectify men too.
Yeah.
It's not like we can change the fact that sex sells and companies are going to use it to sell products. So why not level the playing field a bit?
Any man upset with being objectified? Well, that's too damn bad.
Hot, ripped, muscly men like me.
Too damn bad. Everybody's getting objectified here. It's fine.
Do to gay guys.
It's fine.
League of Legends has just as many sexy dudes as it does chicks. I mean, just case in point. There's a tendency for websites such as Kotaku
I love
to
it.
post
Everyone
articles like,
should be sexy.
Baldur's Gate 3 slyly adds jiggle physics for dicks balls.
They had jiggle physics for the men jingly bits? They did? I did not know they had that. I'm gonna have to install Baldur's Gate after this. just to check and see that that's true. I'm gonna have to do that. I love that though. That's amazing.
They will celebrate
Just nice jiggly pee and bubbles.
when men are sexualized, but not women. If you ask me, that's a little sexist, Kotaku. Lost Ark's depiction of female characters feels a decade out of place. If you're fine with people thirsting over those shirtless Leon Kennedy mods,
Yes!
or the mods were
I may or may not have modded the game myself, and if I do end up wanting to play Resident Evil 4 again on stream this October, I'm gonna need to remind myself to turn those mods off. Turn those mods off before I get a vacation.
Chris Redfield
A
is
Twitch
just fucking
vacation.
naked for the entirety of Village, then you should also be fine with people thirsting over Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh, I
Now, to
love
clarify,
her.
there is a big difference
I love
between
her.
what a developer makes and what their audience makes of it. Just ask Jeff Kaplan. But if we held developers responsible for the actions and words of their community, well, the Call of Duty devs would be on trial for crimes against humanity. So this doesn't apply to like multiplayer voice chat stuff. But what, if anything, is wrong with
She's
Stellar Blade
beautiful.
in particular? Well, let's check out some articles and see if we can find the
Okay.
answer. IGN France posted a review of the demo, saying mostly positive things about it. However, there was one paragraph people really took issue with. The design of the game, particularly its characters, highlights an obvious bias, and the result is not really a success. It's not new, and other games have chosen to highlight the strengths of their female characters. But where a Bayonetta stands out with an iconic character design, or a 2B inspires an entire generation of cosplayers, Eve from Stellar Blade is just bland. A doll sexualized by someone you would think has never seen a woman.
No, I haven't played the game, so I don't know what exactly they mean by this. Like, you know, I think the sexy outfit is great. I personally have no issue with it. Are they referring to the character in terms of, like, you know, personality? Because I do agree with them about Bayonetta having an amazing design and also 2B having an amazing design. But I also really like Eve's design. I think, you know, it's unique and it's certainly not something that will easily escape my brain.
There's a lot of problems with women.
Is that a woman? Jesus.
We all know women don't exist.
There's a lot of
A
problems with
woman?
this. First off, Eve isn't even sexualized within the context of the game or the events of the demo. Like, she doesn't flirt with anyone. She's not pushing her tits together, leaning over, asking for a ride. She never says, like, who wants to have sex with me? It's not even a factor at all. Like, bro, if you want to complain about hypersexualized characters, go play Soul Calibur, okay? Hop into the character creator and you can make your tits super huge.
This is exactly what I used to do when I was younger. The only fighting game that I used to play was Soul Calibur. Honestly, that was it. I used to create characters all the time and make them super sexy and never actually play them. I would play Soul Calibur. I played Soul Calibur a lot, but I was a Tala man. So I was doing my little thing with my dual blades, whatever, you know, I think she had like little dual blades. I would do that, but I would just make sexy characters for like no reason from Soul Calibur. But the thing is that like Soul Calibur is a little different because it's a fighting game. Like, you know, I don't really think people look into backstories or character development in fighting games as much, you know? It's a fighting game. Like, who cares?
Also, the demo is like an hour long with about 15 minutes of cutscenes. That's not enough time to give like a detailed character assessment or review. So a lot of people are complaining about Stellar Blade at the moment based on assumptions. what they think the game is going to be like when it actually comes out. Comparing
I like how
Eve to
shiny her booty
Bayonetta
is.
and 2B isn't fair at all, because those are characters that have been around for a long time, and they appear in games that are completed and have been released to the public. Let's try another article though. Developer of Stellar Blade fails to recognize the game's sexism. This
Oh
was
shit, there's a
posted
lot of
before the
articles
demo
about
came
this.
out.
Oh
So
my
just
god.
based on the 6-minute showcase, there is something striking when you look closely at the images of this aesthetically successful action game. The heroine is ultra sexy. In less than 6 minutes, we see her wearing outfits, each more improbable than the last. The message is clear. The shorter, the more skin visible, the better. Now, I'm not sure what trailer you watched, but there's like maybe 9 seconds of footage where Eve's thighs are partially exposed, and
Gasp. Thighs? Oh my god, God forbid. If thighs are a problem, then all of us women are getting burned. We're getting burned at the stake.
but besides that, it's just her arms. Like, where is this explicit, overt sexualization that I seem to be missing?
Someone's gonna point at
Is
us and be like, "You
every woman in
harlot!"
tights supposed to be a sex object? However, we are talking about a character responsible for getting rid of an enemy threat in a post-apocalyptic context. So the old "her outfit isn't practical or realistic" argument sometimes has merit. But I don't think it does with Stellar Blade or Bayonetta. Neither
No,
game is going
yeah.
for a realistic setting. Like, if Call of Duty had established itself as a grounded military shooter and then got rid of military factions and threw Nicki Minaj in as a playable character, that would be pretty fucking cringe, wouldn't it?
This was the most random
Bayonetta
collaboration.
is a witch and Eve is an ODST that stole
No, but honestly, he has a point. He has a point here, because it really depends. It depends on a lot of things, right? Like, Aloy made a lot of sense. Her design made a lot of sense for her character. Like, I know, okay, robot animals are not realistic, right? But it is supposed to be a more realistic game in the sense that it's like, you know, post-apocalyptic, but it's supposed to be realistic. Like, you know, this game I think is supposed to be fantasy, and I think it depends on what the, you know, the developer, what the setting they're, you know, the setting that they're trying to go for, in my opinion. Because, you know, you see the difference with Aloy. People were upset because Aloy wasn't, you know, the ideal standard for you know, attraction, and she wasn't wearing makeup, and I was like, well, you know, she fits the setting. And I think that Eve fits her setting too. I'm all here for Eve. I love it.
Tracer's spandex.
I haven't played the
As long as they
game,
don't look
but
stupid and they
I've
fit
seen
within
enough.
the universe, I don't see either as a problem. Leggings so close to the body that it feels like a second skin. This guy has more problems with the tights industry than he does with the game. That's what leggings are. She has a nice bod and plenty of outfits to customize. Gamers like customizing.
Honestly,
and
she's
playing
not
dress
even
up.
that,
Bayonetta is arguably more sexualized, but she's considered a
nude.
paragon of female representation and strong female characters. So again, what is the actual problem? The character is simply too sexy, man. That's the issue.
I will say one thing that he says that is true is that Bayonetta is really empowering for women. I will say that, you know, I think she's super hot. I also think she's very empowering. Why is that word a struggle for me to say today? But like, you know, she's strong and I like it. And I don't think that Eve isn't, you know. I don't really know anything much about Eve, but I don't have an issue with her design.
It's difficult not to see a sexualization of women, a practice which tended to disappear in the latest video game productions. Did you forget what won Game of the Year in 2023?
What I like the most is that every companion is so extremely fuckable. I wanna fuck all of them.
Yeah, me
I
too.
do not only wanna fuck all of them, I wanna be with them forever, for the rest of my life.
However,
Same.
this choice is 100% assumed by the developer with arguments that are beyond belief. The director of Stellar Blade attempted
Is that I think, you know, is that lady just me? Was she am I having an identity crisis? Because I feel like she and I are the same person. Oh my god, did I just dox myself?
project's irredeemably sexy argument. In terms of design, we focused on the back of the character because players are always facing her when playing. That's what they see the most, so it's very important. We didn't know that a character's charisma is first measured by the perfection
That
of their
makes sense.
posterior.
I want to see a
Jesus
nice
Christ, man,
bum
don't touch
if
grass.
that's what I'm
When I play a
seeing.
game, I want to
You
see
know?
someone who is prettier than me. I don't want to see someone normal. I want to see an ideal. I think it's important for entertainment, and after all, it is entertainment aimed at an adult audience.
What you say is heresy.
These are the unbelievable arguments. I wanted my video game protagonist to look good. How could you say something so brave yet so controversial? Like, this is sexist now? Well, shit.
I want to play a
don't wanna
character that I find attractive. Oh, well, I guess you're sexist for saying that then. It's not true. You're not a sexist for thinking that a character, for wanting to be attracted to a character. You're not sexist for that.
Sexist and play this? So from now on, I'm only playing games with ugly protagonists. Like, they just made a hot protagonist and gave her a bunch of outfits. That's it. And for some, that's the issue. The unrealistic body standards that are detrimental to women who consume
Once
this
again,
sort of
not
media.
unrealistic.
And we'll get into that later on. But I want to look at some good and bad examples of sex appeal in video games.
Okay.
It's not whether you sexualize characters in a video game, it's how you do it. Games like Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, Dragon Age Origins, KOTOR, and Mass Effect offer a diverse cast of male and female companions to simp for. And they all feel like real people.
I want to give my opinion before he gives his, just in case he says exactly what I'm going to say. I think, I prefer characters who, and I'm totally, I love characters that are super attractive. I love sexy characters. I think what matters the most to me, whether I like a character or not, is their personality and how they are developed. So, I like female characters that appeal to both men and women in the sense that, I think most of us, whether, no matter what gender you are, I think we like characters that aren't empty shells, we don't like flat characters. And I think that's one of the biggest things, at least for me, I'm never going to care about a character looking too hot as long as, especially if they're like, and this is important for me, if they're a main character and their personality is flat, that's where I may get a little like, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Like, that's where it is.
Their personality is not solely defined by how sexy they are. You can fuck
okay.
bears in Baldur's Gate
He
3,
just
and you
said
can
what I
fuck
said.
aliens in Mass Effect. There's also options for same-sex romance, and you don't see too
Based.
many people complaining about that. If you're gay or a little bi-curious or just want to see how those romances can play out, those options exist. They add diversity to a game in RPG in a very good way.
It was
This
so
old
good.
reliable
Baldur's
clip
Gate was
is
so
actually
good.
relevant to the discussion for once.
I wrote a blog post a while ago about why I f***ing hate video games because this is what it does. It appeals
Ew,
to like, the
she
male
hates video
fantasy.
games? Ew.
Wait, this isn't the right game.
This is the male
Yeah, hold on,
fantasy.
I gotta switch to- You know what?
Who hates video games? Ugh. Ugh, brother. Ugh.
God, shirtless John Marston.
Not John
Red Dead 2 is the perfect
Marston.
game to illustrate the power of diversity and perhaps sex appeal, because RDR2 appeals to
Red
the male
Dead.
and
Oh, I
female
love
gaze.
Red Dead.
Just as you can customize the outfits.
True,
for
that
Eve,
is
You can
true.
do the same with Arthur. There are compilations of women thirsting over Arthur, and all I gotta say is, back off, ladies. He's mine.
And then
Oh,
I also
okay.
just weirdly really liked.
Oh, it's fine. If you
my
have, I
God.
have Leon, you have Arthur. That's
really,
fine. Well,
I'm
it's okay.
so jealous of her. I'm so jealous.
One of our wonderful assistant directors, Gethin Aldous, he says, Raj, we got to do those horse lines again. I was like, why? And he said, well, it's a little too intimate. It sounds like you're not talking to a horse. And I was like, what do you mean?
I
He played it
mean,
back, and I was like, you're all right, girl.
oh.
And if I can thirst over Sadie Adler like a parched baboon,
Hey yo. Bro, I love Sadie Adler. Sadie Adler is a great example of what I was talking about, though, is that one of the things that I love about Sadie Adler is that when you meet her, I don't remember exactly if this is when you meet her, but all I know is she turns into an absolute badass. Like, I wouldn't care if she was wearing a super sexy outfit. It doesn't matter to me what outfit she wears. Her personality is so awesome. It's so awesome. I love it.
then hell yeah. I hope women who play RDR2 can simp for Arthur Morgan. Again,
Yeah.
it comes down to both of these characters feeling like real complex people that you can just inherently find attractive. It's called personality. There's no mystery behind good writing. It
Yes,
boils down to the
thank
developers'
you.
intentions and goals with their characters.
Oh, I
and their
love
game.
Pan Am.
If you want to make a graphic
Dude, I was absolutely I was so upset when I couldn't romance Pan Am as a girl, but I did want to. Okay, I love Judy. I love Judy. But then when it got to the Pan Am part, I was like, damn. I was like, well, shit.
visual novel kind of game, probably don't call it Sex with Hitler. That might
Oh
be a
my
good
God.
start. And there are egregious and what I would
Yeah, don't do
consider
that.
bad examples of sexualization.
That's
in
very
video
bad.
games. Isabella from Dragon Age 2 is just this smelly pirate hooker. Like, that's mostly her character. Now,
We know
I'm
she's
biased
stinky?
because I'd rather eat goat diarrhea than play Dragon Age 2. But even then, Isabella still has more going on. She's mostly a smelly pirate hooker, but my issues with her character have more to do with the romance system. It isn't
Okay.
just writing. Bad sexualization can be tied to the game mechanics. You want to romance this character? Just hit the icon with the heart on it. You'll be contracting gonorrhea in no time. I don't mind the dialogue real
He's
in Mass
roasting
Effect, but when
her
it comes to
so
gaining
much.
approval or influence with characters and romancing them in an RPG, I much prefer titles like KOTOR and Dragon Age Origins, because you have to figure out and pick the dialogue option that a character will respond to. You actually have to flirt and rizz them up. You know, maybe
Oh,
there was a time for this
yes.
future perfect joke that went
I know. I thank him so much for saying this because I personally love the mechanic of having to romance a character and picking the right options. I don't like, I love Bethesda games. I think they're fun. I enjoy them. But one of the things that I had I was like, not my favorite stuff when it came to Bethesda was the way that you romance the characters. It was very, you didn't have to do much.
You go first.
Oh,
okay. But the over-sexualization in that game is part parody and part fan service. Personally, I have always found Ivy Valentine's design to be hilarious and over the top, and that has been a topic of debate
I
for a long
love,
time.
it's iconic.
But her design
It's
is also
iconic though.
iconic. She has
Yeah,
earned a
yeah,
place in gaming
yeah.
culture. Some female characters are defined by their sex appeal, while others ride the line in between. Samus is hot, but she's also like a real person.
Samus is hot.
Dead or
Yeah,
Alive
she is.
Extreme
I love
Volleyball
Samus. She
takes
was on my
sex appeal
list.
to an extreme level, and it's mostly a gimmick, but at the same time, the game was an impressive display of physics. On the other hand, you've got something like the new Fable trailer, which a lot of people reacted negatively
Fable.
to.
Oh, I
they
loved-
blasted the design of this female character,
Loved
and
Fable.
well, she does look pretty silly. I think people would have reacted a lot better to this trailer if they had taken the angle of our protagonist is the antithesis of your typical hero, and she's thrust into the role of being a hero. But the trailer doesn't try to tell you that story. This character is just kind of ugly for no real reason.
Fable characters have always been ugly. I don't know what people are expecting from Fable. It's like if you haven't played Fable in the past, if you are a person who have played Fable in the past, you will know that Fable has always been this way. I don't think that every character needs to be sexy. I am advocating for sexy characters. I'm supporting it. Like if I see a game with a sexy character, I'm like, yes, I love it. I see a sexy outfit, yes, I love it. But do I also like characters who aren't sexy too? Yeah, I think all of it's great. I think it's all amazing. I love characters like Eve and Bayonetta. Well, I won't say Eve. I haven't played that game, but I like her design. But I'll say Bayonetta. I love characters like Bayonetta, and I love characters like Aloy. And I might like this girl, regardless of her maybe not being, attractive. But I like it all. I think that, the problem are the complainers.
Like in Beautiful Joe, you play as a comic book movie nerd who gets sucked into the movie and has to become a hero, even though he's a fucking nerd. He's the antithesis. That could have worked for Fable, but they don't really tell that story in the trailer. So it comes across like it's made to appeal to the body positivity crowd, and a lot of gamers just don't care for that. I don't think we've seen really bad examples of sexualization in video games in a long time. Custer's Revenge is one of those notoriously awful games, which they hit the double whammy. They were racist and sexist.
Oh,
and they made
goodness.
the game that way deliberately to generate outrage and publicity.
Oh, no,
Some
no, no,
tactics
no.
never go out of style. Duke Nukem Forever is also an awful example because the game was terrible, wasn't worth the wait, and a lot of the jokes just weren't funny.
Power armor is for pussies.
Well, okay.
So it felt outdated. Recent worst example of sexualization, of course, goes to Ride to Hell Retribution.
I've
You kill
never-
a group of dudes and then immediately start banging a chick with all your clothes on. Women are quite
kinda funny,
literally
though.
an objective in Ride to Hell. Man, that fucking
I have
game.
I've
But going
never
back to
heard
the
of that
real
game.
issue, body positivity, unrealistic body.
I want to say
standards.
another example really quick, and this goes back. Another example is Tifa. I love Tifa so much, and yeah, she is a sexualized character, but she's also so sweet. She's so kind, and she's not a flat character. I mean, I don't mean that literally. I mean personality. Like obviously she's not flat, but you know, she's another example of a character that I love a lot, who is sexualized, but like she's amazing.
Standards in video games, and by extension all media. Multiple studies have shown that both women and men feel lower levels of self-esteem when consuming media where characters have that ideal body. Now,
Really?
you don't really need a
That makes
study to
sense. That
tell
makes
you this,
sense.
because if you're a dude and you've ever watched 300 and thought, damn, I'm a fat ass, well then you're just like me. But you also probably don't think about what Gerard Butler went through to look that good. In the same way you probably don't think about
That's a good
how
point.
much time game developers spend on creating attractive characters, how much concept art and designs they have to create. But the problem with feeling insecure about your body image is an issue that nobody can fix but you. Feeling like your body type is being represented in media is a surface level solution that ignores the real issue. I think a lot of people who write these articles essentially complaining that characters are too sexy, I think that comes from a place of insecurity or just a grift. Every woman on the planet has struggled with her self-image. And to all the ladies watching this right now, you look great without makeup. And every man has struggled.
Oh, don't you try to riz me up. Don't you do that, Act Man. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
With
Act
his
Man's cute though. He is cute. You look great too, Act Man. You look
own
great too.
physique and confidence. It's pretty funny. There was this tweet. Microsoft urges developers not to create female characters with exaggerated
Oh shit, I think this is the Korean this is the Korean model for her.
body proportions.
Oh, she's
And I
beautiful.
replied, yes, of course. We wouldn't want
That's what I look.
exaggerated body
No, actually,
proportions.
she has realistic body proportions. This is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I was saying. Realistic.
Microsoft urges developers not to create female characters with exaggerated body proportions. And I replied, yes, of course. We wouldn't want any exaggerated body proportions on male characters. It might make us men feel insecure. And if you look at the replies, well, first off, this is the guy who was the art director for Gears of War. Also, I recently reviewed
He's
the
buff.
first Gears of War.
Buff
You
man.
shouldn't watch that video at all. That's how reverse psychology works, right? Okay, sweet. But
Buff-
a lot of people
buff
in the
man.
replies were like, I aspire to be Marcus Phoenix. I live 7 days a week trying to look like Marcus Phoenix. I must
Oh,
go
people
to the
are getting
gym more. I'm
motivated.
feeling a strange and sudden urge to hit the gym. The men in Gears of War aren't realistic, but the women are.
Dude, her tits are way too big. That is clearly like a C cup or bigger. Looks like it was made by like a horny 15-year-old, and we're trying to be a little bit more mature than that.
How is that too
This
big?
goes back
What?
to the, do they have realistic outfits or not? And I think Cliff is right. If this lady had huge knockers, it would just kind of distract from the war, you know? But seeing ideal beauty or attractiveness in media or video games, if it makes you feel insecure, you should use those feelings of insecurity to better yourself. Go on a walk, eat healthier food. Ideally, that's what people would do.
That's what I agree with that, because I think a lot of people, whenever they get insecure over something, instead of being like, hey, I should go and fix this. Like, yeah, if someone says, oh, I'm insecure over, I don't know, I've got like skinny arms, right? I want to get muscular. Not muscular, but I want to get like, a little bit muscle on my arms. I'm talking about me in particular. I have skinny arms. And if I were to see a girl a muscle mommy somewhere, or, you know, anyone who has nice toned arms. And I was like, and I saw her and I got envious and I was like, man, I hate that lady. She has buff arms, unrealistic body standards. Instead of doing that, you know what I should do is I should go and lift. Do you even lift, bro? That's exactly what I should be doing, is lifting and to get the arms that I want. And that's what it is. Like, be the change, you know, start making change instead of getting on the internet and complaining about something that you can literally fix for yourself.
But that's not always the case. If you're
Let
trying
it
to condemn or
motivate you.
criticize a piece of media because the characters are sexy and that made you feel bad about yourself, then that sounds like a you problem. I hope you work on that. Lord, grant me the
Your
strength to
soul
accept the
is
things I cannot
mine.
change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. None of us can change that sex sells.
I
It's a
love this
marketing tool.
actress.
You can't get rid
I
of
haven't
it in
played
media
Mass Effect,
or
but I know that
business. So the
actress.
best thing to do is become the best
She was in
version
Chuck.
of yourself. In my experience, actual sexism in video games happens in voice chat or mostly at the studios. And I think
Facts.
focusing too much on whether this character is too hot or not distracts from the conversations people should be having about how women are treated in the workplace and in the game industry. What's really obnoxious is when
Good
people
on you.
try to Photoshop official character art to be more or less sexy to prove some kind of point. Is it just me, or is this shit kind of weird? Like, hey, the marketing for GTA 5 would have been much better if the chick with the cell phone was fatter. What? Why did you do this to Cortana? What? She's a fucking man-made AI. She's not a real person. Are some of these body types really that unrealistic?
They're not.
We live in a world of plastic surgery, for God's sake.
I've said this. Like, it's not unrealistic. I have a similar body type to Eve and Cortana. My best friend has a similar body type to Eve and Cortana. I've met other people who have similar body types to Eve and Cortana. It is not unrealistic whatsoever. Looking at the Korean model, I'm like, what's unrealistic about that? Nothing. Like, you know, you can work out, a person can work out and get that body, if you know, and get that body. That's not unachievable. It's not unrealistic. So I think using that word for body types that you can actually achieve doesn't make any sense to me.
There was Horizon Forbidden West, where there was like a couple shots in one of the trailers where Aloy looked a little chubby, and some people started freaking out about it.
That's
They were like,
chubby?
"Well, what would she look like if she slathered a bunch of makeup on her face?" I just think obsessing over this kind of stuff isn't healthy. If you're going to obsess over it, then do so in the gym. It's important.
This was the image that I was talking about, where people were upset because she wasn't wearing makeup. And I'm like, you know, that's not what the developers were going for, and the setting doesn't fit for her. You know, if she had makeup, I wouldn't complain about it, but her not having makeup makes a lot of sense, and honestly, it's really refreshing. So, you know, I think people just need to stop complaining.
Slathered a bunch of makeup on her face. I just think obsessing over this kind of stuff isn't healthy. If you're going to obsess over it, then do so in the gym. It's important to
Facts.
note that the
Preach,
problem with this whole
Actman.
debacle is not about Eve's design. The problem is quite simple. A game developer and thousands of internet users are bluntly describing Eve as an ideal woman, the only woman that men want to see. Also, labeling Eve as the only kind of woman men want to see is wrong on so many levels. Dudes will thirst over anything with a pair of tits.
People do like all different types of body types, and that is true. I think that people believe that people only like one body type, and that is not true. Beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder. Like, I know there's a standard that most people are attracted to, but there are people who like different things.
For this content, it now needs to be injected into all media to cater solely to them. How is this any different from putting realistic body standards in video games to cater to a different crowd? It's not. What? Company make product because want money? Dove is challenging narrow beauty stereotypes within the games industry with a new campaign that promotes avatars that look like real women. Again, you have to remember that these companies are fucking massive, and they're making these decisions because they think it's going to increase revenue. You've got Stellar Blade, which is
I do like that Dove is doing that. I mean, I like sexiness in games. I also like diverse body types in games. So I'm on the side of I like whatever the developer is putting out for whatever their vision is for the character, as long as, you know, the character doesn't come off flat in a way and is still a certain, you know, appealing personality-wise. If, you know, they're supposed to be. If they're supposed to be a fleshed out character, if they're supposed to be a character that's, you know, a side character, that's, you know, not supposed to be anything, that's different. But if it's supposed to be a fleshed out character and they're not, they're empty, that's where my only issue stands. But I'm here for sexiness. I'm here for things that aren't sexy. I'm here for diversity. I'm here for, you know, different body types. I'm here for body types like this. I'm here for the whole shebang. I'm here for it.
Hey, let's lean a little bit into sex appeal to sell the game. And then you've got let's portray women in a normal way to sell the product. And both of these things are fine. But you can't pretend you're better than the opposite side if your end goal is the same. Money. Now, some people are only going to care about what Stellar Blade represents in their ongoing culture war. But at the end of the day, what matters most to folk like me is if the game is awesome or bad. Is Eve going to be a flat, lifeless husk? Or an interesting character who just so happens to be a baddie with a gyat that won't quit? In conclusion, Rule 34 has been around for about 20
Do you guys think she has a flat and lifeless personality? I haven't played the game, so I genuinely do not know. But what do you guys think? You know, I can't make an opinion on Eve's personality at all because I don't.
years. People are going to sexualize your game and your characters even if you don't. Sex appeal in gaming isn't inherently a problem, but there are pretty clear ways of doing it right and doing it wrong. Instead of wasting our energy discussing things that will never change, maybe we should focus on the design and fun factor of the game, if it's visually appealing.
Yes.
Or, God forbid, how women are treated in the actual workplace in the game industry. The recent controversy.
This man is very smart, very intelligent.
Phenomenon. I think it's ridiculous to criticize it for shallow reasons like the character is too hot. It made me feel bad. And it's equally absurd to criticize a protagonist that isn't hot enough. Is the design good or not? Does the character have a reason to look like this? Sure, there are some instances of objectification and bad sexualization in video games, but in my experience, these are pretty rare. Unrealistic characters can affect the average Joe or Jill's self-esteem. But at the end of the day, you have to learn how to be happy with your own image. Nobody can do that for you. Your self-esteem is not the responsibility of some multi-billion-dollar corporation. Sex sells, and you can't fight that truth any more than you can fight gravity. That's the way it is. So
that's the way it is.
Enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you.
Thank you, Actman. You know, I pretty much agreed with everything that he had to say. I like sexy characters with good personalities. I like characters who aren't sexy with good personalities. I like romancing characters in a way that makes sense, you know, instead of just, hey, pressing a button and there you go. You know, I do like that too. I think everything is, I think we pay too much attention to this. And, you know, I think we should focus on making video games better. We should make a focus on making, you know, the content better, the personality better, the characters fleshed out. I think that should be the focus. And I do agree with him that I think that if you're going to focus on any type of sexism in the industry, it should be things that are, you know, stuff like in the workplace or anything of that sort. So I agree. I think he had really, really good opinions there. And honestly, that's kind of what that was already my opinion going into this. I'm really passionate about this topic because I worked on developing a game at one point, and I went to a video game conference where they had different conventions and panels, and there was this one that I went to of this lady who was just very anti-sex appeal in games, like, you know, and was not making any sense. And, you know, I wasn't paying attention for most of these conventions, like most of the panels in the conventions, but I was paying attention to that one just because of how absurd she was. And yeah, people like sexy, and I don't see what's wrong with that. But anyway, that was a based opinion. I loved that.